Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 5 Questions with the Paulist Fathers. And today, a very special featured guest, soon to be deacon and soon to be making his final promises to the Paulists. Rich Whitney, how are you?
Great, thanks. Thanks for that introduction. Wow, that makes it sound even more exciting than it really feels sometimes.
That's great. So you're besides waiting to be ordained a deacon this year and waiting to make your final promises as a Paulist, what has it been like this in your final years as seminarian during the pandemic?
Well, I mean, everything was normal. I was sent off to my pastoral year in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Right.
So I went there in May, served as a hospital chaplain in CPE, clinical pastoral education, over the summer, and then rolled into John the 23rd until May when I was called back here at, the end of the pastoral year.
Right.
And come back here and then get ready for the summer assignment. And then mid-May, I came down with the coronavirus. So in the real lockdown period, I've either been locked down or sick and recovering. So I've had an experience like a lot of people have, a lot of people have had this. And so it's been more a reflective time than an active ministry time. What does it mean to suffer? How do we make sense of suffering? What does it mean to take the cross? What does it mean to do all these things? Why does God let good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people?
Right.
So it's been a lot of that reflection.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm glad you're healthy, first of all.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And, for years before you went to seminary, you worked behind the scenes in the theater world. Does it feel like you're on stage now? Like you've come from behind the curtain and now you get to preach?
Yeah, to be honest, it really does. I started life as an actor, and I was going to be an actor when I grew up. And then I learned fairly early on that the stage is wonderful, but the steady work is backstage, especially if you're my size and my build. I mean, I'm way too big to be an ingenue and just not going to get those regular parts.
Right.
So yeah, I moved backstage, and now on stage, it's a very different time moves completely differently on the altar. Everything is different. And I realized how much I missed it.
Absolutely. Right. It's a question 3. You talked about how you hoped that people would pick up a new hobby during the pandemic. Did you pick one up?
I didn't. But what I did do is rediscover a couple of old hobbies that had fallen by the wayside, like juggling and music, both things that just give me great joy. And somehow I just stopped doing them until the time came back, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. This is something that gives joy, and I let the busyness and the pressures of life push out that, and that feels a little sad now.
Yeah. The juggling video that you had during Homebound was just, it really, honestly, I was having the worst day that day, and that just picked me up immediately. I was like, okay, the joy that Rich has in this video is enough to kind of propel me through the rest of the week.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. I'm glad it helped.
Yeah. And speaking of things that help, question 4, what's been your favorite comfort food during the pandemic?
The food that's in front of me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Whatever they slid under your door.
I mean, let's face it, I'm not a small guy, so eating is a big part of it. No, it's funny how the comfort foods change. When I was working at the hospital, it was donuts. When I needed the emotional eating fix, it was donuts. And then, I lost some of my taste and smell during the active part of the COVID. So it just didn't matter. But now it's fruit. Of all things. And I mean, this does not come from eating fruit. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to me, but really the seasonal fresh fruits, blueberries, especially blackberries, raspberries. I mean, if you want to dump a sugar glaze on them, that's great too. Not going to stop. Maybe add a crumble, all good. But everything fruit-based.
Very nice. Yeah. And so last question 5. Has it been a long journey to final promises into diaconate ordination, or does it seem like yesterday?
Oh,
that you just started.
Both statements are absolutely true.
Right.
Depending on the lens I look through. It does feel like I just started yesterday, and the seminarians who were ahead of me said that that's the way it's going to feel. But then if I can take a moment and reflect on just how much has changed, how much I've grown, all the things that have happened, there's a disconnect there of, wait a second, it feels like I just walked in the door yesterday, but all this stuff, because it really has been a jam-packed 5 years, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, psychically. It's been fantastic. And now it's time to start looking further on.
Yeah, there you go. And so a great 5 years, and many more to come, you know, so we'll keep you in your prayers, not only this coming weekend, I believe it's not this weekend, but next weekend.
Next weekend, yeah.
Final Promises, right?
Yeah, the 4th and 5th.
Yeah, and of September, that is, for those of you who are watching this well down the road. But we'll keep you in your prayers, not only those days, but throughout your deacon year, and as you look forward toward your priestly ordination next year as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I will keep you in my prayers. And I hope your move goes well, and
thanks.
all those such things.
Yeah, so it'll be great. So, Rich Whitney, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great having you here on 5 Questions. And
thank you for inviting me. It's been an honor.
Yeah, so stay safe, and you know, a week to go, right?
A week to go.
So this has been 5 Questions with the Paulist Fathers, and I'm Mike Hayes, and we'll see you all again soon.